Good morning, Florida lacrosse fans. Thursday morning, October 13th, Thursday the 13th. Lee Roggenberg, your host, Florida Lacrosse News. Welcome to Morning Coffee. Let's get our morning ritual out of the way first. Okay. Let's also mention, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. Please like the video if you do so. Follow us on Twitter at FloridaLX and on Facebook at FLA, Contact us for advertising and marketing opportunities. We welcome aboard, as I mentioned last time, Legendary Sports Group, and we're in talks with other advertisers as well. So remember that we can provide multiple platforms. We're affiliated with Varsity Sports Network, Benrhardt Sports Network, our website, the YouTube channel, and a whole host of others coming down the line, hopefully. Let's see. Let's start with the commits. A couple of them in on the girls' side. Gulf Coast Girls 2024. Emma Masterson has committed to Stetson. American Heritage Delray 2024. Victoria Tomonto has committed to Penn State. Two more Division I commits out of the girls' programs around the state. And just again, we just keep growing and growing with more and more of these commits. Just a fantastic showing by our boys and girls across the state. Keep it up. And hopefully both of you will be doing your commitment submissions shortly. We're pretty much caught up in the queue, and I would like to start to keep these going. The readership on the website has actually grown very nicely lately, and I want to keep that momentum going. We have updates. The Nick Dworet Charity Foundation events have been rescheduled. The Swim with Nick Ocean Race is now December 3rd, and the Custom Car Show on November 6th. Swimfornick.com, I believe, or swimfornick.org would be the place to get in touch if you have interest in either event. And obviously, for those who are not familiar, Nick Dworet was one of the unfortunate victims of the Stoneman Douglas shooting. And so the tie to the lacrosse community is his girlfriend was the daughter of the head coach of Taravella at the time. So, we always keep in touch and keep track and help out with these particular events. So if you're interested, please get in touch with them. Stetson's holding their alumni game on October 29th at 10 a.m. We have a Jared Benrhardt update. Looks like he's going to be active this week. I don't know how many weeks he's been active so far. He did make the 53-man roster coming out of NFL training camp with the Atlanta Falcons. And Atlanta actually did a feature on him and how he's gotten to this point of growing up in Lake Brantley High School in the Orlando area and his path through the lacrosse world and now onto the NFL roster. There's an 11-minute video, and we'll be linking to the article hopefully today. 11-minute video that I've just watched, and I can tell you it's great stuff. You really should try to check it out. Jared's one of our Florida lacrosse success stories, along with his older brothers. His dad, obviously very involved at the highest levels of sports. His dad and mom have always been very supportive of our website, and we certainly want to acknowledge and keep track of Jared. Jesse, middle brother, is in the USA Lacrosse camp this weekend. Jake, it looks like Jake is, I think, maybe retired from the national scene consideration. I didn't see him on the roster this time. But Jesse is, and I'm sure Jared down the line, if he decides to wrap up the football career, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to go out for the USA men's lacrosse team too, as sort of a cherry on top of his career there too. So go ahead and watch for it when we link the article. And I can tell you the video itself is well worth your 11 minutes. The Sports Illustrated article that I referenced on Tuesday, had a chance to read through it. It's a very interesting topic, and it's a very interesting article. It's obviously very heart-wrenching, the issues that the Native American indigenous people, I should really say. I'm going to try to just kind of say indigenous from now on, see if I can keep myself disciplined on that. And the story itself is about the schools for kids. It seemed to mostly be in the western provinces, or I guess what we would consider the oil country today, Alberta, Winnipeg, that sort of area, Saskatchewan. Not exactly sure about that. I'm just kind of inferring it from how I read the article. And there were over 100,000 indigenous youth who were brought to these schools. And the purpose, starting back over 100 years, was to, in the words of the people who ran the schools, to basically wipe out the version of their culture and lifestyle that they were being raised in order to make them more like, for lack of a better term, the white man in Canada. And the mass graves that have been found of these kids, many of which died in the schools. I think the number that's quoted in the article is around 4,100 kids who died in these schools. And the issue of how do you sort of square the role of lacrosse, because the sport was used by these schools as sort of a lure to bring the kids in. You'll see a lot of quotes with Zed Williams, Lyle Thompson, a couple of others. Frank Brown, my Hobart buddy, is also quoted in the article. And it's sort of it's going to be an issue that's going to be, it's not going to be linear or a straight line in, okay, here it is, and here's the blame, and here's the solution. When you read the article, you kind of get the feel that there are different layers to what people want to see done, and they might not reconcile with each other over time. Those of you who had a chance to read the story yesterday, Sports Illustrated allows 4 free article reads before you go behind the paywall. So unless you're a heavy user of Sports Illustrated without paying for it, you'll be able to access the link in the article and read the whole story. We'll try to keep up with the story as it continues. There was a report written by the Canadian government. There was a ministry set up for it. They released the report in 2015. I'll try to catch up on it over the week and see if I can bring a little bit more insight to it. It is a very heart-wrenching story, as I said, and it's going to be something that the lacrosse world will, be dealing with it, only because of how much we are linked with that world. So keep tuned to see how we follow up with it as the story goes on. One thing I want to touch on, a funny little story that kind of popped up a day and a half ago. Paul Hollis passed away in 2016. He was the head lacrosse coach and I believe teacher, AP teacher at Eastside High School in Gainesville. And Paul was highly regarded. I didn't write the remembrance article. It's not listed, but I would assume Brian Davis probably did. And it was a very nice write-up. And then all of a sudden, about a day and a half ago, that article was getting read a lot on the website. And I was really scratching my head trying to figure out why. And when I read the article, I noticed that he was a Princeton grad, all Ivy, first team attackman. So I got on the phone to Peter Cordry, who is the Benjamin head coach, and was at Princeton also, quite the player there. And I asked Peter, did were you a teammate of his? He said, yeah, because I kind of figured about the same age. And I said, well, I got to tell you, for some reason, Paul's article is like the most read article today on the website, and I have no clue. And thankfully, Peter was able to solve the puzzle for me. He had mentioned that there was a benefit under Paul's name on Long Island, like a day or so, I guess over the weekend, or maybe the announcement was made, and people were starting to research him and came across our article, and it was read almost 40 times, which really was kind of funny to me. But I'm glad that we had a little bit of helping hand in helping people who were his friends, his teammates, and those that he influenced up north to check in. And thank you, Peter, for the information, for solving the riddle for me. Okay, let's end with websites. Sometimes I like every 3 or 4 months to remind you about other places that you can go for great coverage of the sport. For obviously, our partnership with Varsity Sports Network. If you have a little yearning to get a taste and it's a quiet night for you, if you go to the YouTube channel, Varsity Sports Network FL on YouTube, you can go to their playlists. They have a dedicated lacrosse playlist of everything that they did over the year, including the shows that I did with them, as well as the games they covered in person. And it's certainly a great resource. Brevard Sports Network, Alan and his crew that did a great job. I've been on them a couple of times. Nice Facebook interview. They're a Facebook-based channel, plus the game we covered, plus the game that got rained out that we also had a nice online discussion about. So, always give them a check, and they can always they're always looking to see people in their area and contacting them. Obviously Tampa Lax Report on Twitter and on the net. The guys do such a great job over there. We've been great partners at times too. I help. They give me a chance to make it a little bit easier on me to find out what's going on in their area, because they keep really high-end coverage. The website's great. The videos they put out are great. And, the Twitter feed, obviously, as there are times I'll refer to their Twitter feed too. So always get a chance to check them out. Lax 904 up north, Ray Carnicelli's his podcasts on Sunday morning are fantastic. And he does a great job and always has done a great job up there. We have sportslowdown.com. This is a little more specialized. Donnie Reber, I've known Donnie now for quite a while, covers the Florida Tech scene in great detail. And just if you're a Florida Tech fan and you don't know about Donnie, you're really missing out. Check him out. College Cross, Chris Jastrzemski, collegecross.com, does a great job on the college scene. I'll check in with him once in a while too. Sometimes we'll link to their articles, if we have a Florida connection with it. Has been doing a great job for many years. And I think Chris is now also up at ESPN, if I remember correctly. lacrossebucket.com, young man, Tanner Demling, who I've known about since he started all this as a teenager. And Tanner is starting to continue to grow into his niche. He's obviously very passionate about it. Certainly worth checking him out at lacrossebucket.com. One interesting thing that I've noticed recently, Vintage Lax Brand on Twitter. I believe they have a website too. It's hashtag @LaxBrand. Their specialty is the old videos, the old commercials. Just they do a great job of bringing me back to my college days and a little bit later on to that. Also, although I think they give Casey way too much coverage. They got to get a little bit more Hobart in there. If you guys are listening up there, yeah, I give Casey enough coverage down here too. So yeah, let's check out a little bit more of the old school Hobart stuff. If you guys catch this up there, Casey, keep going with your recovery, bud, too. Okay, and there are going to be others. I'll bring up more and more ones that I check out as we go along. But we're running a little late here and want to wrap it up for today. So. So good. Okay, let's remember. Follow us on Twitter, Florida LX, on Facebook, FLA, LAX, NEWS, FloridaLacrosseNews.com on the web. And subscribe and like the videos. Remember, let's always remember, grow the game, respect the game, and honor the game. Have a great weekend. This is Lee Roggenberg, Florida Lacrosse News. We'll see you Tuesday morning at 8:30, and so long from the Sunshine State.